Gilg Jew, Gilg J as Gilg Nerach.
Shoh Claare Gael as Baviliam giaull. My name is Robert Cutting Carswell, Robert de Carslach.
Have I heard tell of old Bobby Bob?
And it's my pleasure to present this bilingual programme Claare Gael, which comes to you in the English language as Seward and in the Manx Gaelic Chinyanamera, the mother tongue of Elin Vannin, the Isle of Man. As Banach and Deuit. We've been hearing a story by Christopher Shimin from the first edition, May 1913, of Sophia Morrison's magazine for Inchesha Mannin. Also in that first edition was a piece by M C Kermode, which we'll look at now, though it subsequently developed into something else. Tanoloban Helsing grade the Portlairge Mina Harker gus Castle Dracula. To Jonathan Harker courage asked the moor, nod of Mina Hannah dochen et and Count Dracula, as tan Anamek ons Gael. We begin with an announcement by Liam Clancy about a song he's about to sing, all about Portlairge, where the Clancy brothers' grandmother kept a public house. Shoh radio vanning stasiwn yr asiwn, viscoller scalia mach, vai dulish, Ellen Vannin.
I'm going to sing a Gaelic song. Oh, I was a day in Waterford, and there was wine and pints on the table. There was the full of the house of women there, and myself drinking their health.
Dirty do.
Play away. Vissel I Portlairge, fall down, fall dee, fall na dad, I lum, be finis, quince are clar, on fall down, fall dee, fall na dad, I lum, be on a teeth of an odd, on fall down, fall dee, fall na dad, I lum, agus mi shegol a slant, fall down, fall dee, fall na dad, I lum, agus daily ban no rallum, fall down, fall dee, fall na dad, I lum, agus truro hibber a darn, fall down, fall dee, fall na dad, I lum, near evan winter sasta, fall down, fall dee, fall na dad, I lum, money with a rock la hosta, fall down, fall dee, fall na dad, I lum. Alright, son, Carrigamar, fall down, fall dee, fall the dad, I lum, agus taured Colleen Bralum, fall down, fall dee, fall the dad, I lum, yo me tree than marnin, fall down, fall dee, fall the dad, I lum, oh, we can tibber a darn, fall down, fall dee, fall the dad, I lum. Can't be up to these northern.
Liam Clancy singing about Portlairge, known in English as Waterford, and the song mentions various other places, including Deuit, which is Tipperary town. Tommy MAKEM rather joking around there on the tin whistle at the end. In this first edition of Mannin, M C Kermode's piece is headed Short Stories from Manx History, and this first one is called In Corna Dale. In fact, in the second edition in November 1913, another of his short stories from Manx history is called Deuit, picking up on a character who appears in this first story. And at the end of that story, in the second edition, M C Kermode has a note, "It's been suggested by some readers of Mannin that it would be more interesting to trace out the career of Deuit priest of Corna Dale than to deal with a series of disconnected episodes from Manx history. In attempting this, the author would prefer, at all events for the present, not to say how much or how little of what follows is to be regarded as history." That Deuit priest was a real person who flourished at the beginning of the 13th century is known from two inscriptions carved by him, now preserved in the cross house at Kirk Machald. For the rest, each reader is asked to judge for himself. Ashonish as Liorla Mina Harker. Ren Corre an Olu, Chouch Lore, und Shean and Claare Millish, Virgin de Woolis an Air, Cunige Shinulju. O Machara, Te o de balium sau le ven Mina by en vol atchimach shen, de velmi son gol. Na liga G de balion cor leshigas a wall shen. Ta aber kai de ve jinton shen, na vel son the sulianek. Ta shingen na Danion shoh, ulju limage Jonathan, nagen les na sulianok heen, nuvis de ve jint, rosh me wat de wall shen ve jint glen. Cunier, de Welshin ons chennid debijach. Maar wissen Count Scapale weinig hier shoh, as ledger, achtel, krautach fuddy de jinne ride gadler is gied blain, as ons trei, jinnach a fair ein gewien. Ga we malau. Chit de rail shejachrish, as vegi grusen elje, renos Jonathan Fagan. Tauus ninston jane mailen froshachok. Our singer Mairead Williams is from Llannevid in North Wales, and she sings in Welsh and in English. However, very much soul-influenced, as you'll hear in this song, Pe bawn in rhydd, If I Were Free.
Pam na dwi'n cysgu ôl yn y tŷ I aros fan I wedi goledydd Beth amdan I nosi sy'n denu fe'n ai di Falle mod i'n hoffi cwni'n hun Os pan ddarpare bydd pryder yn y glin O leia bydd y lleiad ddim yn hir Cofio fod cryfder mewn derbyn pwy wyt ti Dal hyder mewn tawelwch a ddwyth y gwir Yn sy'n fyfyrio yma Tra bod hael yn gorwedd lawr Di aros ar un llwybr ddim yn hawdd Ond mae'r nos yn gafael ynnau A mae'r byd yn teimlo'n llai Y lleiad sy'n gofalu am ein braidd Os hanner bore bydd pryder yn y glin O leia bydd y lleiad ddim yn hir Cofia fod cryfder mewn derbyn pwy wyt ti Dal hyder mewn tawelwch a ddwyth y gwir O ma'n ddiwrnod maith Tra bo'r hael ar waith Yn dallu'r ffordd ymlaen Hyn wrth amlygu'r straen O wynebu'r llwybr ben fy hun Os pan ar bare bydd pryder yn y glif O leia bydd y lleiad ddim yn hir Cofia fod cryfder mewn derbyn pwy wyt ti Dal hyder mewn tawelwch Dal hyder mewn tawelwch Dal hyder mewn tawelwch a ddwyth y gwir
Welsh singer Mairead Williams, and that track was produced by another Williams, Natalie Williams, who's from Beaumaris in Ynysmon, the Isle of Anglesey, the other Isle of Mona. Renw clash na gera y wenok, chaws ren grema poga va brebel ren Count Cawdaw. Taw biberni, as chynyrys de fel sen. Gin lai daw de fel mi cor chwish pian ort, ach te fe moel. My chara, na fel shoh fame duch as a hand ha mi cor fuddy my vioas. My hachera de ginnach fully golstjachs of all shen, de hanach den on, Orm pins weg, de golder heel sheshach meru. Gin mot an eide het, doet Jonathan, les saag hugge de sledden a crow, tashin ons lauen ye. Na san me. O hugge forst thou fagen an achter en na denia dunnel shaw gavrige. Krein ja teg brein nach de go grai de dunje tret had gegien, as gefirnjach, as gedunnel. As nes, hugge arm smunjen en jaat in de sach en urgid. Krein a jig lesh trette imagin je de kaart, as krei hig lesh, ma vis drach imagin je. Jeni me gebwiesel de wel een charn Godalming gebeurtjach. 700 years ago, and 3 added on to that, and on a midsummer day, Corna Dale lay bathed in the morning sun. The thunderstorm of the previous night had left the air fresh and cool, and in the rarefied atmosphere every feature was sharply defined, the most distant points appearing to be within easy hail. Away on the eastern horizon, as viewed from the land below, the Cumberland hills stood out as though they bounded the other side of a still blue lake, but through the windings of the dale no outlet could be seen, nothing but a narrow green basin, seemingly set high up in the mountains, far from the noise and struggle of life. The fair, small valley, with its grassy banks steeply rising, then more gently sloping up to the hills on either side, seemed to open out and to be carried far beyond its 3-mile stretch to the purple haze which half concealed the Claare at its head. A gentle breeze was wafted in from the sea. The Ross Cooper Band, Ross himself from Shetland, with Sam Mabbott on melodeon, Michael Biggins on piano and Paul Jennings on drums, and they were joined there by Duncan Lyle on bass. Well, more from the Ross Cooper Band later.
The Nation Station, Manx Radio.
Sé stasiwn yn asiwn vis radio fanning, as yn short as you geisiach ris Claare na Gael. Mish Robert Cutting Carswell, Robert a Carslach.
Have you heard tell of old Bobby Bob?
De Claare na Gael jintmur podcast as tira gedden inedega radio vanning, na true Apple Podcasts, Amazon Audible, Spotify, Google Podcasts, TuneIn, na Alexa. The breeze lifted the soft mantle of mist which still clung to the summit of Barul, magnifying his stature and his massive bulk. No sound disturbed the stillness but the bleating of the goats and the almost human wailing of their kids. Small flocks of sheep were scattered over the slopes, and lower down were herds of mountain cattle. From high in the heavens, the lark, a nearly invisible speck, poured forth his morning psalm of praise. Spirals of thin blue smoke rising here and there spoke of human dwellings, but so small were they, and so intimately harmonious with their surroundings, that their presence wouldn't otherwise be revealed. Sights and sounds all told of peace. Only from far up the dale, the hoarse bark of the ravens wheeling around Mullacherry served to remind of the tragedy which had passed. A mile and more away, below the entrance to the dale, the broad, shallow valley spread out its summer verdure from Portlairge to the Port Moor. Ta eisiau, chum as Manch Morris, as paltje ergedegus yn nis, arltach de chiawi chysser. Son, man a renned, chafod yn torres begain i'r goel taiacht, eder chalir as leis cully chamai, mar bia chaustai je urelia. Genel 3 uren naar school neer is wij reichit, na weg en peut ek dag gin de junno, as nish te bedel jouwer brie eilen egen Lord Godalming, as Jonathan, les brie gin derlu de goal taiag der grig. Tel jij gutten de gavel mai egen early Seward as Manche Morris, as storme had. Te uljene cases en chira as cully J. Cochlaen kind visser gedden, ein. Te reichit de gin en alle van Helsing as mish gol een trein, eg 4 minute rosh me nie, noch, lesh veresti, ball nimmit gedden carriage de immen gus a verne vorgo. Tashin cor leshin murende ergedrai, no de gin much kionige carriage as kavel. Nimmit immen een son heen, no na wel pecher be de chrestel on se gush. This is a Breton band called DIR HA TAN, Steel and Fire.
Les danseurs, tu viens, get up in your bag, a song, lion. Les danseurs, tu viens, get up in your bag, a song, lion.
Conserera, mon dimiano, conserera, mon dimiano.
Conserera, mon dimiano, conserera, mon dimiano.
Mais ça va changer, conserve d'agneau.
Les danseurs, tu viens, get up in your bag, a song, lion. Les danseurs, tu viens. you want, get up in your wagon of son de yon. Lady dansar till you want, get up in your wagon of son de yon.
Ambelaka, une espresso, ambelaka, une espresso.
Ambelaka, une espresso, ambelaka, une espresso.
Naga vaimone ti ciorata,
Lady dansar till you want, get up in your wagon of son de yon. Lady dansar till you want, get up in your wagon of son de yon.
un peu arrivi, sentir guéro, un peu arrivi, sentir guéro. Io lo so, ni chanelo, dei
Dansar till you want, get up in your wagon of son de yon. Lady dansar till you want, get up in your wagon of son de yon.
Scarad vesmi, charne lutado, scarad vesmi, charne lutado. Corso d'ovasion, dormir charmante, dei
Dansar till you want, get up in your wagon of son de yon. Lady dansar till you want, get up in your wagon of son de yon.
ou charnelo, mas mescarato, ou charnelo, mas mescarato. Averino, un trail en carato, dei
Dansar till you want, get up in your wagon of son de yon. Lady dansar till you want, get up in your wagon of son de yon.
dei dansar, till you want, get up in your wagon of son de yon.
Lady dansar till you want, get up in your wagon of son de yon.
Breton band DIR HA TAN with the lead voice of Françoise Trécon. Te perche imedy glerige negen alw, ma so nimmet cast na roin de mai. Ta wappen en ein ulju, hier mahon, gun lau as barrelje lied moer. Geberg Jonathan Manner, rau wappen em, nach heden as eg na Firelia. A trai, ganodom gimmerke onwappen mort an a Firelia. Tan kron me wijs gobbelduw sjen. Tan fairly van Helsing mien, gurge mil, jorish instouw, de wel me ledden arnich, no foddy de be modi all on. Tan empjur chit de venus fure dag oer, as de kaddagen snjacht die on, wis chit as golm or rauwen. Na san me, wa fe mer ulje me gunnelus de gors ledden me vernien, foddy na ginmuds chit koejach arach. Dunnelus wiener, tan allo gien ort de gier, tan schilje egge morau. Han neiden de jeer we on nish, man a welle de gin gee lieget out tujem ons boga. Liorle Jonathan Harker, and giaull as feed Jera Fowler, sunny. It swept down from Mackle Head to the Jallow, thence up the craggy slopes to Ballajora, Ballagillia, and Slulleg, with clumps of trees round the dwellings in its hollows, patches of gorse and heath upon its crags, looking up, smiling to the sun. Here a solitary form was to be seen, high-stepping through the wet grass. Bareheaded, clad in a cassock, his right hand gripping a stout ashen staff, under his arm a small bundle, Deuit priest was making his way with quiet ease and deceptive speed to baptize a dying child. His ruddy, clean-shaven countenance and long black hair, his supple limbs, lean form and athletic build, took quite 10 off his 40 summers. It needed no dial to tell him that this was the hour of tierce, as approaching the desolate burial ground of Ballagillia with its neglected keel, he lifted the wooden bar and entered the enclosure. Then, stepping to the doorway, protected only by a scarce adorish, or bush of gorse, and stooping low, he passed into the damp and chilly darkness. For Ounder and Ceoltia Vanning this year, Ballacottier School Choir performed their version of the song by Davy Knowles, Roll Away, which was arranged for them by Katie Lawrence.
Walks by the rolling sea, where the Claare
Katie Lawrence conducting the Ballacottier School Choir in Davy Knowles' song Roll Away. The rain had penetrated the broken thatch, leaving puddles on the floor. The little rubble altar, illumined by the feeble light from the narrow, unglazed window in the gable, and a similar one in the south wall, was green with moss. Here, kneeling on the damp stones, he offered up his morning prayer. Returning to the light of day, Deuit continued up the hill for another mile, to Thorkel's cabin on Barule. A rudely built stone fence, buried in nettles and grass and creepers, protected about 2 acres of land which had been laboriously tilled and sown with oats. Within this, a sod hedge, as broad as it was high, surrounded the street in which there were 1 or 2 small buildings, if so they might be called, formed of sods, their foundations surrounded by large boulders and thatched with rushes. At the entrance grew the tramon tree, and by the shallow brook which found its way down the street, a stunted cairn, or mountain ash, with feathery leaves and clusters of berries already formed. Tam I sgrw shoh for sailse vai doras curra a ved a liawr brie. Tan Lord Godalming grisach an ail. Te brau olit rish an over nod ar ege rish blinten bed a liawr Jason heen a Thames, as fer elia na lien an Norfolk. Benten den a plan an hein, renshin rege verjere den e kaart we cheb Mina, as de bech koersostje writes on skepele gaunt back den gastje legge, en sereth, as esch of a strietse eg a rolek, de bech shen Vashin Shilton, de bech bol enjach, mushin shach to chemes died, douwen lie de hui, a bol reich de gol herish a cheer, eder njouwen as na carpedi. Genelshin goil aal rosh rai ag buit mai susan njouwen sanei, ta peltje ostjoon, as ten a broen lien de loer, vai Michaelia, de chor golfo brie, eerse dorges, eishach de loer. Den Lord Godalming ginstau de gadler is tammelt, nod en mai de loer ege tre tone, son onveeg de reelara. Music from Cornwall, played on the Cornish double-chanted pipes made by Christopher Bailey, and they were based on the carvings of musicians on the pews in St Nonna's Church in the north of Cornwall, and played there by Merv Davey. Siodiw stasiwn yn asiwn, radio fanning, as she Claare na Gael to the Clash negin tre ton, mish Robert Cutting Carswell, Robert a Carslach.
Did thee ever hear tell of old Bobby Bob?
Ach, a nodum cadler. Crenach fodum leis a gau aglach crocha erskin ma vernien, as ish golmach as diach sa vol atjemach shen. Tan ungerdiach de velshin ons lauwen ye. Erbij son een gredju shen, vecht na sade de redden bes na de hannachten bio, as me saw de bij rei rishulju overe. For Sophia Morris, as a fairly Seward, soel a varkach liaurok, rosh me gaushin tayach, ni het freilrish a vru yesh. Father de lua void, de cosnagus na tolluin surge, red for the ad fagen, pert liaur na houwenje, a shana gaiter na lubenek. Te wanneach, ons na Cayman toshi, de varkiach is de giaull na kabil freach, ker giaull kujach na gin a tarn yindus. Tren ni ad cor sul na dania, as hig chendelia, ni ad hin goil karel gin na kabil. Fuddy de be femein chit kujach, me vis shenenacht fuddy ad cor kabil son a cledden pothenine. In the byre, now empty, Thorkel kept 2 milking cows and his aged horse. From another shed, the gownie, or yearlings, had been driven out, and now were being herded by his firstborn, little Paul. A mother goose, with her brood no longer golden, ran hissing at him as he passed, and 2 lean and long-legged pigs, loose in the street, came grunting to his side, as reaching the door he uttered the accustomed greeting, "God bless all in this house." "And God's blessing on your reverence," replied the Benthai, coming forth to meet him. "How goes it with the child?" "Indeed, I'm thinking it'll not be long with us." "Let me see him," said Deuit, stepping into the dark building, which to him, fresh from his walk, seemed stuffy and unsweet. The floor was of mud, with a hearth in the middle, on which smouldered a fire of peat. Such light and ventilation as there was came from the doorway, only closed at night, and the wide chimney in the middle of the roof. We opened with Liam Clancy singing a song in Irish, and here are the Clancy brothers and Tommy Makem singing another well-known song in Irish with the help of the audience at the Carnegie Hall in New York.
Sé da bha van bolinbor, da bear grach to vehin jeven, da guhi vra vehi shell of merla, is to dilta lishna gaula. Oro sé da bha walya, oro sé da bha walya, oro sé da bha walya, and ishel happen tauri, a wheelarina vartka vecum, monamem bio in a yagak shaktan, grania wel agus mila gashkiakt, ek fogart an gaula. Oro sé da bha walya, oro sé da bha walya, oro sé da bha walya, and ishel happen tauri, ta grania wel ek chaktar sala, oiglik arm halle mar garda, Gaelit fenis ni frank na spanig, is kreeg ruiger gaulav. Oro sé da bha walya, oro sé da bha walya, oro sé da bha walya, and ishel happen tauri.
The Clancy brothers and Tommy Makem recorded in concert at New York's Carnegie Hall on March the 17th, 1963. Against the gable were a few shelves of adze-hewn logs containing wooden bowls and platters and rude horn drinking cups, with some crocks below. In the corner a sheaf of arrows hanging by the shelves, and in another corner some lines and fishing gear. Thorkel's wife was on her knees at the losh, a smooth flag on the floor near the hearth, kneading the dough for his oaten bread. A quern, or handmill, in which he had ground the meal, stood by its side. In the further corner was the bed, a low bench of stone and rubble covered with rushes, over which was thrown a homespun blanket. This end of the house was divided off by a wooden partition, broken at the north end by a half door, over which one could see a young calf and some scraggy fowls, the latter as often as not on the floor of the living-room, which the pigs, too, freely entered. By the hearth was a litter of dead ferns and loons. In the south wall was a small light-hole stuffed in the winter-time with straw. Eg ferge na Gielten ta erk vis regleisiger, as for die shen ve kach leid de heisach son Mina, ma vis famous en. She adventure kai vis gollegian wine. Unshaw house ta shin seirige ron through den dorges, les furet en haven en gien de ve giri noes as bullishin, les korein foljacht ach uljuden hei magitemoon, ta trimmid corrit de sledden. Te gien de Welshen gol lesje tro, stiach ons boel ginistun, as ons regen ginistun. Stiach ons sledden sail de nien dorge haglach. the Godalming dúna doras a churra. And chidla jegus feed jera fawr, 4 sairach a roin, ten lair jet as the Godalming na chadla, tammy freilara. Sŵr gyr ten morra, tashin bwysel son chas a churra, gerde vel cwten trom a finiain. Houds nish, genelshin angel shaach, beide forged it na ghe. A charauer boer fer bijou, kistje na pagged, which it faggest them woods je shen tashin shira. Now, in August, a Eisteddfod Genedlaethol was held in Pontypridd, home of the Evanses, father and son, who wrote My Hen Lad Van Hadai. Pontypridd is also the setting of a traditional Welsh song, and is performed here by Bethania. Pontypridd mein hariad, in Pontypridd is my love. Welsh singer and harp player Bethania, who says that her love is in Pontypridd. So, a local affair, as Bethania herself is from Pontypridd. Van y deinia goelal dach cyr drenchin chinde a lamp electrach ein orw, as hutje dernin glúnen as gawad paja. Yn chydle mi hauna faster beg, gyn naiach fayan lei, genelshin yng ngedden beg jane sort as in shira. The door consisted of a scree made of a faggot of willow saplings bound around with twisted stems of ling. Through the stronger band in the middle, a stout stick was passed, and twisted so that each end caught against the side of the doorway, and held the scree securely when closed at night. Ach, sheneesh, as ten treyer jit de chorkion a Claare shoh. Well, stand by for 2 hours of the best chill-out music for your Sunday evening as Chris Pearson returns again to Douglas Head this week. That's from 7 to 9 o'clock, and then at 9 o'clock Judith Lay will be here to present Sundown. We bring Claare Gael to a close with more music by the Ross Cooper Band, music written by Ross Cooper, the Shetland fiddler who leads them. Ach masort a cion chited de chuljurid, dinawist de chamayeste. And so until the next time then, this is Robert Cutting Cardwell, Robert a Carslach.
Oh, Bobby Bob.
Wishing you a very good night. Eve I'm a chrieriu as ortsurye, as my yeri and shed you all you.
Thank you.